Welcome to another episode of Touring the AFC South. This is the Women's History Month edition. And if you aren't aware, let me break it down for you. Here's how it goes. We are having all Black women as guests for the month of March. You know, definitely got to represent for the Black Queens, for sure. But this episode, we have someone very special coming on, someone that it needs not really a big introduction because everyone knows who she is. She is the queen of Sports After Dark. That would be Ashley Baker. What's going on?
What's up, Mike? Thanks for having me. Listen, I know you said I don't need no introduction, but that was a great introduction. You know, the queen. I like that. I like that.
Well, you know,
how are you? Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, of course. You know, I've been trying to kind of work on my introductions and stuff like that. You know, maybe one day they'll let me do something at a stadium or something like that. But you know, that's another talk for another day. But of course, on this episode, we're gonna find out more about you, kind of, you know, where you're from, all those different things, how you became a Cowboys fan, living in the Northeast. We're gonna get into that too. But you know, of course, first thing we open up the show with is the Black Girl Magic moment, and I picked someone that I'm pretty sure you know. That would be Terrika Foster Brasby. Now, I'm gonna highlight Terrika because Terrika has done everything. You name it, she has done it. She's been a producer, ESPN, doing producing there for the podcast and things like that. Also, co-host of Above the Rim podcast with China Robinson. However, before she did that, she actually was the person that would produce that too. Go figure. Producing and talking at the same time. Hey, I do it, so I understand what she does. Then the byline. The bylines she's got New York Times, you got Fansided, ESPNW, you got Anscape, you got W Slam. I mean, come on now. She's everywhere there.
Everywhere.
Then you've got right. And then of course she's on CBS HQ. She is a Black woman holding it down amongst some fellas and doing her thing. So, you know, gotta give her respect there. And of course, I cannot forget, she does broadcast, sideline reporting, play-by-play, color analyst, all those different things she has done for the Connecticut Sun of the WNBA. And she is by far one of the face media. Got to show her nothing but the utmost respect and praise for Terrika Foster Brasby. Do you have anything you want to add, Ashley?
I mean, you gave a mouthful, Mike. I mean, a woman like her, I love Terrika. That's my girl. So grateful to have connected with her some years back and, you know, to call her a friend in this crazy media world where women just aren't afforded as many opportunities as we should be. And she literally is a definition of creating her lane and owning it. And, you know, shout out to her. Shout out to, I do consider her like a mentor to me. And, shout out to her and, you know, the many pieces of advice she's given me whenever I call. She's answered the bell. She's just dope. And like you said, she's just everywhere. It's crazy. You know, what's funny is Terrika probably somewhere along the lines, us women, we do so much and we think we're not doing enough. Until you go back and like read and say everything somebody's doing, and then you're like, damn, I really am doing a whole lot. I hope that she's seeing this moment that she is dope. If she already knows she is, but in case she's having any, you know what I'm saying, thoughts about it, she's dope. She's everywhere. She's breaking the mold. She's trailblazing for folks to come behind her. So yeah, shout out to Terrika. Super proud to be able to call her friend.
For those that don't know, she is on Twitter. She is on Instagram. She knows sports.
Yes.
You see her there, yeah, you better come with the A game because if you're not, she's gonna definitely get you right. And I don't know if it's gonna be a good way or bad way.
Folks, don't say nothing about her. She, especially if you don't know her, don't come for her like that because you'll get blocked. So just watch
that. Yeah, definitely can't talk about that. Especially can't talk about Detroit. Don't do that.
Don't do that. Or Michigan.
Yeah,
like the college football. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Right. Detroit Lions. She does definitely come from people with Detroit Lions too, but you know, not quite as tough as everything else. Just Detroit at all. But you know, we're gonna go from Detroit. We're gonna move to the Northeast, of course, which is where you are from. Do we call it the Northeast or we call it like the Mid Atlantic? Which one we call that
I don't know. I maybe like we can call it the Northeast. We can call it the Northeast. People, I'm hearing a lot of people say that nowadays, the Northeast more than the Mid Atlantic. It's the Northeast for sure.
one? Gotcha. Well, hey, I was gonna mix it up. I was gonna say out east, but folks that's listening to this on they're from Nashville, gonna be like, hey, why are you talking about East Nashville on a podcast? But anyway, that's another story for another day. But want to get into your younger years in terms of growing up. Where exactly did you grow up?
I grew up right here in DC. I grew up probably about just to give a landmark. I probably grew up probably about 10 or 15 minutes away from the Washington Monument. I grew up in Southeast DC. And then I relocated to Prince George's County, Maryland, in my, I guess middle young years, right before getting into like middle school and high school. So I kind of grew up in just in the immediate DMV area. Really, it's all in the same area. I mean, where I grew up versus in one part of my life versus where I grew up in the second part of my life, they're probably about 20 to 25 minutes away from each other. So it's pretty much the same area, the general, DMV area, about 20 minutes outside of DC for the most part.
Okay. All right. And so, can you kind of talk about it? You said you grew up in one part, grew up in another.
Yeah.
So what were the differences in growing up in one part than the other kind of that you noticed when you were growing up?
Oh man. So I started out in DC and, just those are such early years. So my memory isn't there as much, but I do clearly remember the shift of when I actually moved into Maryland. And those are my years of just remembering me getting into sports, me getting into the love of sports, just kind of bussing back and forth between DC and Maryland when I got to a certain age, being able to get on the train and head out to Northern Virginia. So, I mean, honestly, it's all like the same area. There isn't a big like cultural shift or cultural change, whatever, like DC adapts, this area in Maryland, Prince George's County is, I mean, we're like right there. It's literally kind of the same culture, the same people, basically. So there wasn't like a huge culture shock or anything like that when I moved. But I lived with my aunt in my younger days and then moved with my mom in my older, again, teenage years, was back with my mom. So that would probably be the biggest shift. My mom did a lot of traveling and such for work. So I stayed with my aunt in those earlier years. And my aunt is the big, you know what? Now that you got me, I'm feeling real therapeutic. Now that you got me thinking about like my early years with my aunt, I think that, I talk so much about how my mom started me off in sports. My aunt was like 10 times like a sports head. It probably started with her, and she loved, rest her soul, baseball. Baseball was her thing, and she loved, at that time they were called the Redskins, but she loved the Commanders. It was the Orioles, and it was, I guess they were called the Orioles back then, whatever baseball team, and obviously it was the Redskins. So my aunt, she probably really put me on. I might got to give her a little more credit for that than I do my mom, because I spent a lot of years with her loving the sports scene, man. But yeah, those are my earliest memories, just being a kid.
Mm-hmm. I hear you there. Now, of course, not everyone grows up wanting to be, it ends up being the thing they wanted to be when they were a kid. So what exactly was your kind of first aspiration of what you wanted to be growing up?
Ooh, I don't think I had a real clear aspiration of things until I was in high school. And when I was in high school, I desperately wanted to do astronomy. I love the study of planets and the stars and different galaxies and, things like that. And so I really wanted to do astronomy. In my 12th grade year, I was like, I'm going to school for astronomy. I want to do astronomy. I mean, I'd always talked sports and, did all that, but sports doing a career in sports was not on my radar. It just wasn't. astronomy. I'm such a like space nerd. It is insane how much I love space. I want to do astronomy, but what turned me off from astronomy, Mike, there's this man who discovered one of the planets, and I think his name is Galileo. I remember his name being Galileo. And he discovered back in the day and literally used mathematics to pinpoint where a particular planet would be. I want to say it was either Neptune or Pluto, and by golly, the planet was there, Mike. And that's when I realized that astronomy wasn't for me, because he did that without calculators. He did that without all this fancy stuff. And I was like, no, if you expected me to do that, just off the dome and not you, I'm not, it's not for me. So that's what really turned me off. I was like, nah, I didn't care for math too much, and that is it. You got to be like top notch in math to do astronomy. At least back then you did. So I turned my attention to sports, something a little more, But yeah, astronomy. I wanted to be an astronomer, man. Not necessarily like go out of space and be like an astronaut, but I wanted to work at like the Space Kennedy Center, maybe down in Cape Canaveral, send satellites out into orbit. I wanted to do all of that. I wanted to be an astronomer.
Okay, all right. Yeah. So we do have someone in the touring the AFC South inbox.
Oh,
of course, we got I think we got Trey over there. So what up?
What up, Trey?
And of course, he has his definition for the Northeast as well.
Northeast is yeah. He know what's up. Those my guys. Yep, that's it. That's Northeast. I agree for sure. Yeah, but
he said Northeast. Go
ahead. I'm sorry. Virginia a little bit though, because I think it's Northern Virginia. When you start going down into like Richmond and Norfolk and Virginia Beach, Tappahannock, I don't know if that's considered like Northeast. Gotcha. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. Well, for those that are listening, of course, Northeast, the comment that was put up is Northeast is New York City, Philly, Baltimore, DC, and Virginia to him. So, hey, if you want to dispute that, hey, that's on you. But I'm just telling you what the comment said. So, we're talking about planets and things like that. There is a team that kind of sometimes their fans reside on another planet, but
okay, that is Mike. All right, that's enough for you.
But of course, that would be the Dallas Cowboys. But we're going to talk about how you became a fan of the Dallas Cowboys. But first, we do have to take a quick commercial break on Touring the AFC South with your host, Mike Patton.
EBO Beard Butter and EBO Beard Wash are two of the best beard grooming products for men worldwide. Promote growth, keep your beard moisturized and soft, and enhance your overall upkeep of your facial hair. And with the new promo code MPAFC10, you can get 10% off all these products. Just go to www.etsy.com/shop/EBO Beard Butter. Again, that's www.etsy.com/shop/EBO Beard Butter. And again, the promo code MPAFC10. Again, MPAFC10, where you can get 10% off any products except for beard boxes. So treat your beard better today by going to get these the EBO Beard Butter and EBO Beard Wash.
For those that aren't aware, I got a new sponsor. That's EBO Beard Butter. And of course, I've been on the finesse this week, with my beard butter. So, definitely got to try it out. Definitely have your beard smelling good, have it feeling good, nice and soft, things like that. Yeah, again, that promo code is MPAFC10. That's MPAFC, the number 10. Definitely got to go get you some of that. If you don't got it, ladies, you can go get that for your man's birthday coming up. You got your dad's birthday, Father's Day, stuff like that. Go get that. 10% off everything. But, of course, the beer boxes, those aren't, 10% off. But everything else, 10% off. Just going to throw that out there. Of course, we got to go back to the show. We got to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I've got to ask, you are in, what is considered the Northeast, or you can say the Mid-Atlantic, whatever. But anyway, Gotta ask, how did you become a Cowboys fan all the way up there, away from Dallas?
So, Mike, I mean, honestly, I was born into it, I think. You know what I'm saying? I talked about how my aunt, was a huge Washington fan. But my fondest memories certainly come from my mom, who was born outside of Dallas, about 20 minutes outside of Dallas in Mineral Wells, Texas. She was a military brat, and my grandfather was stationed in Dallas at the time of her birth. So she, Dallas Cowboy fan, true and blue. It's been in her blood. I definitely got beef with my mom for, you know what I'm saying, growing me into such a franchise. She experienced the glory years. I'm struggling to see them. But yeah, it definitely came from my mom, me and my sister, diehard Dallas fans. So that's pretty much where it came from. I have some family that resides, down in the South. But basically from my mom, for sure.
Okay.
It's been that my entire life.
Okay, now I've got to ask you, since you said you got your mom got the glory years and you got you struggling to see them. Yeah. I got to ask you, what is your best moment as a fan of the Dallas Cowboys?
I plead the fifth. No, I'm joking. Yeah. Dang. Okay. So I don't think I've ever cried over Dallas before, like in a good way. And I shed some tears in Dak and Zeke's rookie year, the game that we played the Steelers. And for the Cowboy fans that remember, that game was so back and forth towards the end. And again, this was, Dak and Zeke's rookie year. And I think at that time we was like 9 and something, maybe 8-1, maybe about to get our 9th win or something like that. And we had just let up off a touchdown to Antonio Brown. Or some receiver. I don't remember who scored, but it was such a blown defensive play. It was horrible. And on the sideline, you see Dak like, all right, we going. And I think like the second or third play, forget that. Zeke was like, and it was like, oh man, I think it was like, maybe 20 seconds left in the fourth quarter. And, the Steelers had took the lead and they was up by like, anyway, a touchdown for us won the game. And Zeke took that bad boy to the house. He took that to the crib. And it was such an emotional game because, again, it was so back and forth. And I just remember I was on the phone, I screamed, and I cried. I dropped some tears because this year felt like, don't tell, like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, these rookies is coming in here and they doing this. This is it. This gonna be the year. Like, I was supposed to be the year, Mike. I was supposed to be the year. And so I cried. That's my fondest, most exciting memory lately of the Cowboys. I don't think anything has topped that. Because again, I cried. I mean, I was shedding tears like it was some type of meaningful game. But whatever. Bring it back.
Okay, now
bringing back bad memories, bro.
Well, you speaking of bad memories, and I was gonna ask. Let's see. I know there's been some times.
I'm giving you too many segues. I'm giving you way too many segues, bro.
So, what is the worst moment that you've had as a Cowboys fan? No, I know one of them. Definitely has to be a road game that you all had that a controversial rule made or it wasn't a catch. That would be the Des Bryant Green Bay game.
I've had so many heartbreaks since then, Mike, to be honest. That's just one of the many heartbreaks, okay? I that game pissed me off, but I think when that happened, when that catch with Dez happened, we still had like 8 minutes left in that game, Mike. You know what I'm saying? That game still had the possibility of being won. you just like the momentum was just gone. The air was just sucked out of like the team when that call was reversed. So, I mean, I get people saying like if he had caught it, obviously it changes things in the game, but we were still playing Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, even without freaking Aaron Rodgers, obviously, they have our number. So I can't still 100% say that Dallas comes away with that game. I don't know. I just don't know. Anyway, so I've had more heartbreak since then. I think that probably this year, week 5, against the San Francisco 49ers. That really bothered me. Yeah, I know. It's your squad. I know. It's cool. It's fine. That loss really bothered me. And that Packers loss pissed me off too, Mike. Because it just pissed me off. But it was just something real. It's almost like for me, that San Francisco game, as much as I still cheered and the hope that I had, it was almost like that San Francisco game told me everything that I needed to know. That it doesn't matter if we're on some type of crash course to y'all, we're not gonna get past that. And that made me feel very. Usually, I'm super optically what's the word I'm trying to say? I'm usually very cautiously optimistic for Dallas. And I was very lowly cautiously optimistic for Dallas after week 5. Dak played like a stud. Him and CD started really clicking after that game throughout the rest of the season. I mean, he played on an MVP level. I was definitely going, give him props for that and fight for him with that. But that really broke me. That broke my spirit. Week 5 broke my spirit, Mike. And I hated it. I hate that it was your tape. You just be loving it. You just be loving it.
But I don't even really be talking about it though.
You don't. But do you be loving it though? But do you be loving it?
I loved it. Oh, I loved it though.
Oh my God.
Of course I did. But of course, something else that probably was a little disappointing and frustrating was free agency for you all. Because of course, free agency, the one satisfying factor is that, Kendricks decided not to go to the 49ers and then go to the Cowboys. But other than that, it was pretty quiet, kind of like a tumbleweed going across the desert or stuff like that. So what are your kind of I would say free agency is kind of late for that one. But what are your draft hopes for the Dallas Cowboys and what they could potentially do there?
Me and the Cowboys have a love-hate relationship right now. For those wondering, you're seeing the facial expressions while I'm huffing and puffing. You see all this stuff in my background. Obviously it's my squad, but I'm pissed off of Dallas. I've been pissed off of Dallas since they lost in the playoffs. That was in January. I haven't moved on from that. So, first of all, they kind of bamboozled us a little bit. We saw them make some moves in free agency last year, which is something that is completely out of character for our front office. And, I think this year we walked into free agency despite we don't have coming into free agency, we didn't have a whole lot of salary cap to spare, right? But obviously making some moves, extending some folks, we understand that that's going to create some salary cap for us. But I think that from last year, they kind of bamboozled us and we walked into this year's free agency thinking they're going to find a way to make some moves and we're going to grab some folks, particularly a running back, because we knew that we needed a running back. We knew, especially when we let Tony Pollard walk, we knew we needed a running back. And there were 3 more than serviceable running backs on the market that we did not make a move for because we didn't shore up any of the players or do any extensions to create that cap space to then go out and get running backs, right? So they bamboozled us. We thought it was going to be a certain way. It wasn't. We know that Dallas does not play in the free agency. They play in the draft. This is what they do. This is what they do. They do all of their damage in the draft. I mean, for me, it obviously has to be our needs. Obviously, at this point, we need a running back. We need some offensive pieces, particularly because of the departure of Tyron Smith. In my opinion, probably need a new center. We likely need a cornerback. I don't really know the status of Stephon Gilmore. And, Trayvon Diggs is coming back off of a ACL injury. So In my opinion, it probably should not be best player available. It shouldn't be BPA at 24. We need to be going for what we need. And if what we need is still there, then we need to go for that. But I think that the first matter of business is to shore up the offensive line or either maybe a running back. So.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. You know, a lot of people, I would say, a lot of people up here in Nashville were not liking the Tony Pollard signing. However, I tried to kind of point out to them, I was like, well, if you look at the offense that Callahan's bringing in, he actually fits exactly what that offense is a back that's versatile, can catch, can run, can do all those different things. But of course, they were still mad that Derrick Henry didn't come back. But speaking of Derrick Henry and I was very, very shocked when I heard that the Dallas Cowboys did not even pick up the phone to call a man that trains in Dallas.
Got a whole house out there, Mike. Whole house.
Yep. Exactly. I was very perplexed by that when I didn't understand how that happened at all.
Well, I just told you how it happened.
You do got a draft tip though. From my boy Daryl Wilson to say, hey, draft a running back in the third.
Yeah, I mean that's an option. I'm hearing that this is a really good draft. I'm kind of a draft, mark board draft casual kind of person, but I'm hearing that this is a really good draft for offensive line. So my initial would be to get a offensive lineman. You know what I'm saying? Like we definitely need help. We played merry-go-round way too much the last couple of seasons with our line. We need some stability there. So I think we go offensive line. Me personally, I think we should go offensive line. We didn't even pick up the phone, Mike. But I just told you why we didn't. We hadn't even made enough moves to offer anybody anything. Like, what was we going to offer him? Like, we don't have no money. We didn't have no money, so we love our guys. That's our motto down there. They don't care. They don't care who's available. Patrick Mahomes could be available. And they're going to be like, we love our guys. You know what I'm saying? Travis Kelce could be available. And they're going to be like, we love our guys. That's just, that's just what it is with that front office. So, yeah. I mean, not only was, Derrick Henry available, Josh Jacobs was available. And then, Aaron Jones was available. Saquon was out there, like, you know what I'm saying? Like we just named 4 or 5 serviceable running backs that would easily be an upgrade at the running back room for us. And we're going to roll with Rico Dowdle.
Oh boy. Rico. But, we'll definitely see what happens when it comes to the draft. We're going to take another quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to get into Sports After Dark. And then, of course, the game on Touring the AFC South with your host, Mike Patton.
A shift. A shift is something that happens and changes the dynamics. And that's what happened when Garrett Logistics was born. After 10 years as a sales pro in the logistics world of sporting goods, John Garrett decided to pivot to the world of freight and start a brokerage. So you're saying to yourself, why trust Garrett Logistics? Well, Garrett Logistics helps shippers improve overall workflow, along with increased on-time pickup and delivery percentages. Last-minute loads, multi-drop pickups, and more are part of the services with Garrett Logistics. They're available Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., all times Central Standard Time. So give them a ring at 615-400-8484. That's 615-400-8484, or you can email them at john@garrettlogistics.co or visit their website at garrettlogistics.co. Garrett Logistics, where the motto is, it's not just freight to us, it's your business.
All right, and we are back. And of course, like I mentioned before the commercial break, we are going to talk about Sports After Dark. Now, Sports After Dark started off as Twitter Spaces. Now y'all do shows on YouTube. Y'all got merchandise. I mean, y'all really showing up out here. So I got to ask folks. Good gracious. Got to ask you. I'm sorry. How did originally Sports After Dark kind of come about?
Yeah. So I've always, I grew up in a very sports dominated family, right? So it's always been that vibe of when we get together, we just popping our noise about our teams, and we talking about different storylines and just debate style with my family. And I've always wanted that dynamic, like barbershop talk, you know what I'm saying, where there's so many people talking at one time. And for some reason that didn't really cultivate with me on Clubhouse. I just couldn't get with the Clubhouse vibe. But for some reason it really, really hooked me on Twitter Spaces. And shout out to my guy Roscoe, who does our graphics and our, edits and everything like that. He is literally the first person to pull me into a Twitter space, and it was about women in sports. And he's like, "Yo, you're so dope. I need you to get a mic." Like, okay, cool. So once I kind of, went in there and saw how Twitter Spaces worked, I'm like, I hit up my guy Mark Gunnels, and I'm like, Gunnels, I want to like host spaces and talk about sports. Let's just see who come in there. I don't care if 5 or 6 people come in there. I just wanted that, again, barbershop style talk of sports. And so, oh gosh. And so I'm like, okay, he's like, let's do it. And people love lists. So I was like, let's do a top 5. I don't know, maybe I did like top 5 point guard or whatever the case may be, top 5, whatever. And then, I just kind of blew up from there. We didn't have a name for it. It was still under my About Nothing But Sports brand. The name the name Sports After Dark came probably about 3 months later. Shout out to D Love Sports, because I used to jump into her sports and coffees. And in conjunction with that, again, doing my spaces like later on in the night, later on in the day. And then, I just thought, I'm like, yo, we love sports. A lot of sports happen after dark. I think I want to name this bad boy Sports After Dark. And then came along, the co-host, Young Heavy, me, Heaven Mark was rolling for a long time. And then, I pulled in, Chris Lewis, C-Lou, he's incredible with his knowledge, him and Hev and Mark. And it just kind of grew from there. You know what I'm saying? Was able to get a couple folks. Ryan Clark jumped into space a couple times, and Joy Taylor jumped into space a few times. And it just kind of took on a life of his own. And so, we decided to, cool, we love our Sports After Dark family on Twitter, and we love people having 10 mics, it being 10 mics distributed at a time and 13 people on stage and being able to rotate people in and out. But I definitely wanted to like key in on like the host being able to like give their opinions and, you know what I'm saying? Like their views, our views on the topics and things that's going on in the sports world. So I was like, well, let's take that bad boy to YouTube. And let's call it the After Hours. Now, we were already on late. We're going to call Sports After Dark After Hours. So, that's kind of like, we use that in different terms. When I say After Hours, it's whenever Sports After Dark on Twitter is rolling. After Hours could be in the morning. After Hours could be in the afternoon on YouTube. After Hours could be at night on YouTube. So it pretty much just grew from there. People start asking for merch. And I'm like, okay, we got to get the merch rolling. We got some really dope things coming down the line in the next few months. But yeah, like, it's definitely taken on a life of its own. I didn't expect it for it to be like this, Mike, and it just really blew up. So, and shout out to you, because you've always supported since day one. Day one, you come in them crazy spaces, and you would get a mic, and you know what I'm saying. You've always supported. So yeah, that's kind of the birth of Sports After Dark. That's how it happened.
Yeah, I definitely came in some spaces. I will tell you, spaces is not mostly my jam, but I was like, well, let me give it a try.
Shout out to you, because if you don't come in no space, you come in Sports After Dark. So I appreciate that. I think I've seen you in Sports and Coffee a couple of times, but if you don't come in no space, have you? I think so. If you don't do no sports spaces, you definitely do Sports After Dark. So I always appreciate you for that. And it'd be a long line in the club, but you pulling up. I appreciate you.
Well, I do have to also ask, how do you you have a lot of, we all have a lot of things going on in life.
Yeah.
And I have to ask, how do you kind of balance all the things you have going on in life with podcasting, with, just the day-to-day activities?
I don't know. I'm gonna be honest, Mike. I don't know. I don't know. You know, I'm also a mom to 2 beautiful children. So I don't think that I have truly mastered the art of balancing everything. I just recently started back school up the road to get my master's. And so I've been doing that and doing the shows and working a full-time job and having 2 kids. And it has still trying
You
to have a
missed
social
something.
life. You know, I'm
You missed something
engaged.
that's kind of there. You go. I was about to say,
Yeah,
hold on, you
I
missed something.
wasn't forgetting that. I wasn't forgetting that. I'm engaged. I'm planning a wedding. You know, it's a lot. I don't know. Remember earlier I said you don't think you got a whole lot of stuff going on until you say out loud all the stuff you have going on. I don't know.
Right.
The strength of Jesus is what is keeping all of this together, Mike, because I really don't know. It can't be anybody but the Lord's strength. I don't really have a balance. I work every day and I know when I'm supposed to do my shows and I spend time with my kids and spend time with my man and I jump on your show if you need me to. I don't know. Bro, I really don't know. I just know that one thing that I learned, and shout out to Swagoo, Marcus Spears, who came on my About Nothing But Sports show. One of the things he said was when you're in this grind season, you know, you just grind. There is no like downtime or anything like that. You grind when it comes to your kids. You grind when it comes to your career. You grind when it comes to your education. You grind when it comes to all of these things. And, you know, you really don't have a whole lot of downtime or self-care or anything like that in between. And I don't know. I don't have an answer. I'm pretty sure you asked other women that and they had a great answer. I don't know. I ain't got it.
Right. But hey, it is what it is. But you know, definitely enjoyed kind of learning about you, learning about the Cowboys fandom, and then of course sports after dark. But of course, you know, we don't end the show like this. We also have a game. It's 5 questions, 2 answers, and 1 choice. Are you ready?
I think so.
All right.
I'm ready.
We're gonna see after this first question.
Okay.
Which team you cheering for? The Eagles or the Commanders?
Oh hell!
I cheer for one of them.
Right now, I cheer for the Commanders. I cheer for the Commanders right now. That's disgusting, dog. That made my stomach hurt just now.
Okay, well, the next one, maybe it'll make you feel better. Which spot for vacation would you choose? Vegas or Miami?
Oh my God, that's horrible. Those are like my 2 favorite cities right now. That's a horrible question. Oh my gosh. Oh no. Oh. It's been something about Vegas lately, man. I'm not gonna lie. Shout out to my fiance. He be put me on to some stuff in Vegas. I go Vegas. I would go Vegas right now. I would do Vegas right now.
All right. There we go. Now we have 1 concert. We got 2 legendary singers. We got Anita Baker or Shaka Khan. Which concert are you going to?
Anita.
Okay.
I'm rolling with Anita.
Okay.
The same last name.
All right.
I got to go with the Bakers.
All right. Okay. And the last question. Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, not the last question. Next to last question. Let's see. We got a viral tweet or a viral video. Which one would you say you probably enjoy more?
Oh my goodness! You know, I done had a couple of both, Mike.
Yeah, I know.
I don't even think it matters because I can mute them at this point. But I think probably the viral videos. You know, people like to be able to put the name to the face, and I like the people can put what I'm saying to my face, and they can see my expression, and you know what I'm saying. So probably video. I think video is better.
Okay. All right, last one. If you had to pick a type of movie, if it's a scary movie or a comedy, which movie you picking?
It depends on the time of the year. But if it's Halloween season, you know I'm going with scary movie. Any other time, I like to laugh, so it'll probably be a comedy movie.
Got you. Well, you know, I love scary movies because, you know, of course, I like all the Halloweens, Friday the 13th.
What's your favorite one?
Oh, my favorite one by far is the Saw movie. I can watch all those all day
Really?
long.
Saw
Love
2
those.
was crazy. Saw 2 is my
Yeah.
favorite one.
I would say, I mean, the original one was by far my favorite because
Why does
I
everybody
didn't,
say that?
I did not expect the ending that happened. It just kind
That's
of
what
threw me
everybody
for a loop
say.
when I was like, whoa.
Hold
Like,
up, but wait a minute. Hold on, Mike.
whole
Hold on, Mike. Because in the original one, you talking about him laying on the floor and him
yeah.
being the guy the whole time. But how about in the second one when he was telling the cop, when he was telling Donnie, be patient. Your son is in a safe and secure place. And had he just been patient, he would have saw that his son was in the safe behind where he was sitting the whole time.
Right.
That is crazy too.
Yeah, I love those shows. And then I still haven't seen the last one yet. I haven't seen Saw X. So I gotta see
I heard it
that
was
one. And that
good.
one that is actually it took place between I think Saw 2 and Saw 3 or Saw 1 and Saw 2. I can't remember which one, but it kind of the flashback where he went to Mexico for an actual surgery. And then of course, they didn't do him right, and so he had to get revenge. That's those things. That's how it goes with Jigsaw. But by far, I think Jigsaw is probably, to me, he's one of the best scary movie villains of all time.
That's
I'll give
great.
him. I mean, I'll give him the best title of all time. I'll give him that title. Yeah, I'll take him over Michael Myers. I'll take him over Freddy. I'll take him over Jason. I'll take him over anybody because he makes you think, and he also he makes you think about it, and it's also just diabolical because he's got a plan after a plan after that plan, and then another plan after that too.
You know what people say that the scariest thing to them about Saw is that the fact that it can actually happen. Like somebody can kidnap you and take you and make you do some crazy stuff, and that's the only way that you can survive. That's what scares people the most about them Saws. And I'm like, they all like that.
Definitely make you look around a little bit at night.
For sure.
But yeah, thank you again for coming on the show. We finished up 5 questions, 2 answers, 1 choice, and then we have wrapped up the show. Ashley Baker, can you tell everyone where they can find you on social media, what all you have going on, anything else you want to tell the people?
Absolutely. Thanks again for having me, Mike. I'm always a phone call away, brother. I appreciate you. Please, listen out or be next to your phone for the invite to Sports After Dark after hours. We definitely about to start picking up on getting the guest on the show. But yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Ashley Baker _21, Ashley AMB Sports Baker. On Instagram, please make sure you follow all of the Sports After Dark platforms. Follow that before you follow me. Sports After Dark on Twitter is sports. Oh my God, what is it? Sports A Dark _ on Twitter. Sports After Dark on YouTube. Sports After Dark on Instagram. Sports After Dark on TikTok. Make sure that you go and listen to the podcast, Apple, Spotify, wherever you like to listen to podcasts. You will find Sports After Dark there. And make sure you join the community and just are tapped in. So we're everywhere. And go grab some merchandise. Go grab some Sports After Dark merch as well.
There we go. I think you touched all the bases there. Of course, I have to touch all my bases too because it is my show. Of course, I am the host, Mike Patton. Of course, you can find me on The Artist, formerly known as Twitter. Yes, I don't refer to it as Twitter or X. I do pay homage to Prince when I announce where I am. But anyway, The Artist, formerly known as Twitter, is where you can find me. Of course, you can find me at Mike Patton 82. That's MikePatton 82. Of course, you can find me on Instagram and Threads at that's THA, not THE, _general_MP. And of course, touring the AFC South, you can find it on all listening platforms, whether it be Apple, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio. Of course, you can see it on YouTube as well. You name it, we are there. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to this episode of Touring the AFC South with your host, Mike Patton. We're out. Peace.